That's Ray. Wait. No, it's that one. What if I mute my own mic here?
I'm gonna be with Alice in the parade.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's little.
I know. It's this. It's
There's
this thing. Yeah, it's this.
There's a little bit of stuff.
Okay. There's so many things in here. See, these two are, they're both kicking up this.
last holiday we
families of our 8th graders. And a special shout out to those of you who have 7th and 6th graders who you've been here for a while. But thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, especially in May. I know the family schedule starts to get busy, and we appreciate you prioritizing this time to celebrate our amazing group of 8th graders. So if we haven't met yet, I'm their principal, Natalie Childress. This event tonight will be hosted by myself, and then also our 8th grade assistant principal, Mr. Medina, our 8th grade counselor, Lori Toddy, and our teachers and staff. A couple of housekeeping items. If you've never been to Worthington before, the restrooms are out this door and around this makeshift projector. The makeshift projector is here because we have our lights and other things getting set up for our Alice in Wonderland Junior musical that opens Thursday and Friday. Yes, shout out to you guys. So we'll have some things over here on the screen. Tonight we're going to be celebrating our students. We also have over here our Tiger yearbook and media staff. They'll be taking your student's picture with their award and with their teacher, so that way you're not having to find those teachers when we're finished. We'll edit those, upload those, and share those out on Parent Square for you. After the event, you're more than welcome, though, to meet with your student out in the library to take pictures at the photo booth. And then on the live stream, our TIGErtv crew has been working on their live stream. They have done the troubleshooting, and so that there is sound now on it. So for your family that may be stuck at the train or still at home, they can watch live via YouTube. So we appreciate these student-run events so that we can share out our celebrations with our friends and family. So with that, we're going to get started with the celebration of the class of 2029. It is so wild to think that their graduation is just 4 years down the road, but we want to focus a little bit on this year before we send them to their amazing high school experience. So we want to look back on some of the highlights of this year, all the way back to the hot days of August with football and volleyball, all the way to last week with Board of Trustees and Junior Base Awards. So a few celebrations for us as we get started. What I love is all the little murmur from the kids in the back because they're like, oh, there you are, look at you. And so that is exactly what we're here to do tonight, is to celebrate one another. And so we are loud and proud. That's part of our thing as Tigers, that we shout out successes, that we're not shy about what's going well. And so for these students tonight, when you hear your name, you'll come up to the aisle, you'll say hello to Ms. Medina as he calls the next name, and then Ms. Toddy, she'll give you your award. Inside your packet is your certificate, also a handwritten note from your teacher talking about why they selected you for this award. And so that's something that you can talk about with your family and reflect on the year with them. Then you'll come across the stage and then you'll see your teacher. Your teacher will be lined up here and you can take a picture with your teacher on your way back. But it's so amazing the things that we've done this year, and those are because of you guys going above and beyond to dig in and to lead in a variety of areas. So the awards that you're going to hear about tonight, each teacher got to select 2 students in each class that they teach. Not each period, that most of them teach 8 periods a day, but in each subject area. So if I teach 8th grade ELA, honors and on level, I got to pick 2 students for honors and 2 students for on level. What that means is each teacher teaches about 180 students, and most of them were able to pick 4 that they wanted to highlight tonight. So you being here is a big honor. It's not an everybody gets a trophy event. It's saying we are recognizing something these students are doing. It does not mean that they're the best and highest ranked student in their class. For some of these students that might get a math award, you may be like, math? Isn't this a class we've been crying about at the kitchen table while we've been working on the homework? Science, isn't this the one that I dropped you off for tutorials every week for the last 5 weeks until you brought your grade up? You know, ELA, wasn't that the one that I was like, what is this M in the hack? And I've been hounding you about. So some of it is their progress and their growth over time, where the teacher said, you went above and beyond, and that is much worthy of being celebrated as a natural giftedness and an aptitude in any certain subject. Now, some of these subjects, you guys are rock stars and you're gonna swagger up like, I know I'm good at that. Be proud about it as well. So families, when they come up, you can clap, you can cheer, you can whoop. Students, you can whoop each other up. But as long as Mr. Medina, when he calls the next name, that the next person is able to be honored and we can hear their name, we'll continue to be loud and proud. So joining us first will be our CTE and electives teachers. While they come up here, Mr. Medina and Ms. Toddy will come up, and then we will get this celebration started.
So before we get started, I did want to say one thing to the 8th grade class. You know, as Ms. Childress mentioned, we are highlighting a few students tonight, but really I want to give a shout out to all the 8th graders. Similar to a family, if you're the oldest in your family, you may feel a bit of responsibility there to be a leader, right? I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and while we gave my mom a hard time and we made it up for it this Mother's Day, I also had to take on that responsibility of my brothers, you know, be a pattern and be a leader for them. And so I think sometimes that does feel unfair. You know, we didn't ask to have that responsibility, but I think in a similar way, our 8th graders have really stepped up this year to take on that responsibility and being leaders on our campus. When it comes to Worthington and being open for the 2nd year, there's always this consideration that we make these expectations and these things from the ground up. And I feel like this year, the 8th graders have really set a standard and not only met the expectation, but set an even higher standard for the 8th graders coming up next year. So before we get started, how about we just give a round of applause to the 8th graders. And with that, we'll get started with our awards. The first one is from Mr. Cleveland for College and Career Explorations, and this one goes to Emery Carruthers. Our next award for Ms. Harbaugh's class for also CCE is Rowan Dunn. Also for Ms. Harbaugh's class for CCE, Isabella Kojo. From Coach Jenkins' class of CCE, corn session. Also from Coach Jenkins' class, CCE, Ansel Tran. Next from Mr. Cleveland's class of CCE, Jackson Whitehead. From Ms. Griner's class of Computer Science, Eli Castillo. From Ms. Marvin's Digital Art class, Mame Opongbewa. Also from Ms. Marvin's class, Digital Art, Catalina Sanchez. From Ms. Halverson's Lifetime Nutrition and Wellness class, Miles Jasper. Also from Ms. Halverson's class, Lifetime Nutrition and Wellness, Avery Kinsey. From Mr. Cleveland's Media class, Zaire George. Also from Mr. Cleveland's Media class, Allison Goodrich. From Ms. Griner's Medical Terminology class, Nessa Che. From Ms. White's Personal Development and Relationships class, Peyton Black. For Ms. White's Personal Development and Relationships class, Drew Harvey. Mr. Dunn's Principles of Applied Engineering, Faith Kim. Also from Principles of Applied Engineering for Mr. Dunn's class, Pratika Palaniselvam. For Ms. White's class in Career and for Principles of Human Services, Aaliyah Atkinson. Ms. Halverson's Principles of Human Services class, Finley Carlett. For Mrs. White, Principles of Human Services class, Nicholas Chacon Reyes. For Mrs. Halverson's Principles of Human Services class, Elena Cole. Miss Marvin's Art 1 class, Micah Bean. Also for Miss Marvin's Art 1 class, Aubrey Wise. For our office aide, Adeline Schenk. Also for our office aide from Ms. Eikenberry, Nathan Hummert. Office aide from Ms. Hale, Colton Schimmel. And for Ms. Eikenberry's office aide, Scarlett Smith. For Ms. Laughlin's Spanish class, Silas Bandari. Also for Ms. Laughlin's Spanish class, Eduardo Sanchez. For Mrs. Goins' yearbook, Mateo Becerra Arambula. And for Ms. Goins' yearbook class, Tiffany O'Boyle. And this brings us to our athletic awards.
All right, before we do our athletics, if you are a band parent, you may not always know what's going on in athletics or vice versa, but we do want to shout out this group of 8th graders for being able to hang 2 new banners up in our gym. So congratulations first to our tennis team for getting all district tennis. Coach Bowles. And then our girls track, as 7th graders, they were the zone champions, which is not just Northwest ISD, but also Argyle, Keller, Carroll ISD all put together. And they repeated that accomplishment this year as 8th graders, back-to-back zone champions. Congratulations to them. We also have a state record holder for the 4x100, Coach Seal, is that right? 4x400, they had the state record for 8th grade middle school. And then we also have what's Addie rank now? National still? Yes, for 800 meters. So we have some fast girls, so congratulations to our athletes. The big thing about athletics moving forward, and this is true for performing arts too, and this happened to my daughter as an 8th grader when she was at Wilson. She came home one day from 8th grade and she was crying, and I said, "What is the deal?" And she said, "None of my friends are going to Eton with me." And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You've all been to school together the whole time. And of her 5 best friends, 2 were going to Byron for culinary or medical, 2 were going to Steele for early college high school, 1 was going to Northwest High School for the STEM Academy. And with these amazing opportunities, also she had to start over and make new friends. And so these bonds that you've made through athletics and performing arts as 8th graders, you know what it's like to be a team. But now your team may be starting over. And so what I encourage you to do, whether for performing arts, which we're acknowledging next, and athletics, is take that Tiger spirit with you at your new campus, plant that as the standard that everybody else follows you, and that take a little bit of Worthington wherever you go as an athlete, as a performer, or as a student. But right now we'll celebrate these athletic accomplishments.
Our first one for basketball, Addison Beagle. Also for basketball, Rico Steele. For cross country, Micah Bean. Also for cross country, Eduardo Sanchez. For football, Colin Johnson. For soccer, Rafael Malbert. Also for soccer, Sydney Orpavo. For tennis, Ava Kennedy. Also for tennis, Avanish Muthulakshmanan. For track and field, Charles Burt. Also for track and field, Addison Miner. For volleyball, Skylar Sheffield. For wrestling, Samir Shraki. Also for wrestling, Bliss Donaldson. Now these next 2 awards have a little bit of explanation. They are for Fighting Heart. Now Fighting Heart is that encouraging others, digging in deep. I think in the last celebration we said they have that dog in them. So these athletes go above and beyond to encourage their teammates and to do the best with all they have, and to continue to get up even if they may have some setbacks. They never give up, and they just keep on pursuing their goals. So for the first Fighting Heart Award, Ryan Liker. And our second Fighting Heart Award goes to Sandria Thomas. Now the last two awards are for Athlete of the Year, and this means that these athletes were involved with many different sports throughout the year and really give their best effort to shine in each one of them. The first Athlete of the Year to be named is Kennedy Caldwell. She's at practice right now. Okay, she's at practice right now, so sorry. And our second Athlete of the Year, Dercy Kapuka. So from here we're going to transition into our performing arts. So if you are one of them, you can come up here and Miss Jennings had some expectations of y'all to dance up here. I will not do the same. One of us, yes. So for Advanced Theater Tech, Kaden Hume. Also for Advanced Theater Tech, Avery Kinsey. For Chamber Orchestra, Tiffany O'Boyle. Also for Chamber Orchestra, Ansel Tran. For Concert Band, Colin Johnson. For Concert Tenor, Olivia Taylor. For Symphonic Band, Jack Bonnet. Also for Symphonic Band, Iruka Ochi. For Symphonic Orchestra, Peyton Black. For Theater 7/8, Isabella Kojo. For Varsity Tenor, Sarati Wiggins. For Varsity Treble, Emery Carruthers. Wind Ensemble, Harper Bruner. Wind Ensemble, Raiden Kelly Kora. And those are all our awards for performing arts. So next up, we will have our English Language Arts Awards. So teachers, you can make your way up to the front. ELA. Many of our ELA 8th grade teachers, their own children were being honored tonight at Eaton. So some of them are not able to be here tonight, but we have many here that we will also celebrate and their students. So starting off from Ms. Phillips' class for ELA, AJ Aldridge. For Ms. Dodson's class, London Baston. For Ms. Wood's class, London Chambers. For Ms. Dodson's class, Elena Cole. For Ms. Goins' class, Christian Connor. For Ms. Brown's class, Ryan Kershaw. For Ms. Goins' class, Zaire George. For Ms. Samuel's class, Michaela Gibbs. For Ms. Ramos' class, Guillermo Grimaldo. For Ms. Dodson's class, Ella Grimes. For Ms. Goins' class, Grace Guerrero. For Ms. Ingram's class, Achilles Shimbidinga. And those are our awards for ELA. All right, so I got ahead of myself. For Ms. Dodson's class, Markias Harper Stevenson. Ms. Brown's class, Alexandra Hopkins. Ms. Reed's class, Colin Johnson. For Ms. Wood's class, Anyushuya Nepal. For Ms. Goins' class, Gerald Insaya. For Ms. Dodson's class, Navia Ogletree. For Ms. Ramos' class, Alice Rivas Escalona. For Ms. Reed's class, Brock Stevens. For Ms. Dodson's class, Jacob Tesafe. Yeah, mathematics. Okay, so that concludes our ELA awards. Okay. All right, now we'll get started with our math awards, starting off with, for Ms. Tamani's class, Micah Bean. For Coach Ford's class, Peyton Black. For Ms. Wright's class, Samantha Garzon Suarez. In Coach Osmer's class, Jazlyn Hernado. For Coach Ford's class, Ryan Liker. For Ms. Tamani's class, Abanish Mutulakshmiman. For Ms. Watson's class, Ava Pena. For Ms. Tamani's class, Autumn Pierce. Also for Ms. Tamani's class, Ansel Tran. For Coach Osmer's class, Sarati Wiggins. And those are awards for math. Science is up next, so science teachers, can you join us here? So first, for Ms. Grove's class, Charles Burt. Also from Ms. Grove's class, Emery Carruthers. For Mr. King's class, Andrew Grossman. For Ms. Dearman's class, Isabella Kojo. For Ms. Grove's class, Jaden Lindsay. For Mr. King's class, Addison Minor. For Ms. Grove's class, Caleb Minor. For Ms. Dearman's class, Abigail Walsh. And those are all the awards for science. Social studies, if you come join us at the front. So for Coach Stitt's class, Kinsley Marsh. Also for Coach Stitt's class, Andrew Delgado. For Coach Stitt's class, Ricardo Diaz. For Ms. Hart's class, Rowan Dunn. Mr. Billings' class, Zoe Lawrence. For Ms. Hart's class, Blaine McGraw. For Coach Stitt's class, Coral Ordonez. And for Mr. Billings' class, Sydney Orpado. Mr. Billings' class again, Trey Sanchez. And finally for Mr. Billings' class, Jackson Shelby.
So we've got a few special honors as well tonight. The first one that I want to give a quick shout out to is for our teachers and, I missed a slide. For our teachers and staff who are here tonight. So thank you very much, especially at this hour, at this time of year. They go above and beyond, and you can hear that with the way that your students talk about their teachers, their dedication. So a big round of applause to our teachers and our staff, please. Then also we have a special award that we give at the end for every grade level. When the teachers get to nominate students for these awards, I send out a form to them, and it's at a certain time. Several of them sit by their computer to mark it, and they put in the ID numbers of the students they want to nominate that have represented the tags like our students already. But to prevent it from being a one-person show, if all 8 teachers really, really love Lori Toddy, and they're like, we want Lori Toddy to be our gal, we want Lori to, we don't have Lori Toddy come up 8, 7, 6 times to get her award. And so we put those students in the nomination for our end-of-year tag awards. So these are students that either through excellence or grit or both have really dug in multiple classes, have set themselves apart where those teachers said, I want to acknowledge their hard work in front of the whole group. So our first recipient of the TAG Award this year, who has come a long way and dug in and just shown excellence and grit, is Caleb Minor. Come on up, sir. On behalf of Mr. Medina and Ms. Toddy and myself, congratulations. Our second recipient of our TAG Award this year is Isabella Kojo. Isabel is committed to excellence in everything she does, is an example in multiple areas in our school, so we want to acknowledge and celebrate you. Congratulations. So I wanted to leave the mic with Ms. Medina and Ms. Toddy as they give you some words of wisdom before that you move on for the rest of this year and to celebrate you today. One of the things that I noticed about you guys as you were coming up that you guys may not know is that several of these award recipients were new to Worthington this year and even this semester. That your students have already created such a warm and welcoming environment. The teachers have set a standard of excellence, and so that even our new students are like, oh, this is how we do things here? All right, let me show you, I can keep in step with you. And so to all of our new Tigers, thank you for continuing with excellence, and for everyone, thank you for encouraging our students. I know behind the scenes parents, that is a lot on you. So students, I want to give your parents and family members that are here tonight a round of applause as a thank you to them for supporting you. If you could give them a round of applause, please. And the theater kids, you know you can be louder. All right, with that, there we go. All right, with Miss Toddy.
All right, as you prepare to step into the exciting world of high school, I want to take a moment to remind you just how proud I am of each and every one of you. Some of you guys have been with me for 3 years, and I'm going to miss you. These last 3 years have been filled with growth and challenges and so many memories. And I hope you carry those experiences as you move forward. When you walk through those high school doors, carry yourself with confidence that you are capable of doing amazing things. Stay curious, stay kind, and never stop believing in yourself. No matter where your journey takes you, you will always have a cheerleader in me. Best wishes on your high school journey. It has been an honor to watch you grow and become the 8th graders that you are. My favorite quote is, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams."
So I shared a little bit, before we began, so this will be a little bit shorter, but I really wanted to kind of express what I feel for the 8th graders and what the future has in store for you all with this quote. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. So this quote really stood out to me for y'all because as we go through these different experiences, middle school is such a developmental stage where you're, experimenting things, experiencing things for the first time, but all the things that happened before, all the things that will happen in the future, we have to take care of who we are. And as you enter into high school, there's going to be a lot of opportunities, a lot of things to get involved with. And I encourage you to explore those things, to find connections at your campuses, with your teachers, with your administration, with your new friends. And with all that, continue to build up within yourself what will lead you to go on to college or careers or to whatever you may be as an adult that's full of these things within us that we laid a foundation for here at Worthington. You've already demonstrated that you have what it takes, so continue to take a little bit of Worthington wherever you go and demonstrate that you're a Tiger for life. Thank you.
So families, as we part, one of our teachers is a gifted encourager. And so as we celebrate Mrs. Laughlin's retirement, but Mrs. Laughlin is a fantastic encourager, and those of you in her Spanish class know that. And one of her traditions is that she writes notes to every student when they leave. And so she asked our students to write notes for their teachers. And so teachers, on this table when you leave is a note to you with several messages from Worthington Tigers for you. We believe that those who refresh others are themselves refreshed. So thank you for giving that to us. Students, thank you for all of your amazing work. Please help us to lead well these next 9 days. Oftentimes when I tell people I'm a middle school principal, their face just kind of goes, ugh. And I hope that you see tonight that I am not scared to be a public school administrator. I am not scared to be a middle school administrator. I work with the future and the best every single day, and that includes our community, our students, and our staff. So thank you for an amazing year. Safe travels going home. We'll see you at 8th grade clap out Friday, May 23rd. All right, bye guys.